So today I want to talk a little bit about something that I've experienced myself, still do sometimes, and that you might too, which is imposter syndrome. And what is imposter syndrome? Well, basically, it's just feeling that you're not quite good enough. You're not very confident enough. You're basically risking failure, and you're just scared to speak out and say what you know. And in the event that I'm talking about, obviously, you're not going to be able to go and sell an online course or create an online course and put your head above the parapet if you're feeling that you have imposter syndrome. And by the way, before I forget, actually, I'm doing a webinar this Thursday and pretty much every single Thursday live about 8 p.m. in the UK, London time. If you want to find out more about setting up and getting your own online course up and running, then come jump onto that URL, and then it'll take you to sign up for my webinar. And I'll tell you how I got over this kind of scenario of not feeling good enough. I managed to get it to the point where I'm pulling in now like $40,000 plus a month in online courses from actually not being in anyone in the niche that I set up. So it's totally doable. But getting back to the imposter syndrome, yeah, about 70% of people actually feel like an imposter, apparently, in terms of, they think maybe they've cheated to get to where they are, or they've kind of slipped in through the back door and, basically never got found out. They don't feel like they're deserved. And if that's you, I totally and utterly get where you're coming from. And in fact, when I launched one of my first courses, I waited and waited and waited before I actually launched my course, because I just thought for like a year that actually I wasn't justified to do a course. But in actual fact, I was justified. I just didn't feel like I was justified, because all I was doing, which you may have experienced yourself, was you look around, you see other people in your niche, competitors, and you sort of think, well, do you know what? They're really good. They've been doing this business for like 10 years. They're making way more money than me. They're doing all these things. And then you're just left there thinking, well, what is the point? Why should I even bother trying to create a business or, put myself out there if there's other people who are farther along the line, doing better, have massive audiences, and then there's just little old me, Well, the point is that actually what you're feeling is totally natural and normal. And I'll tell you now, there are people who are in those positions who will tell you privately that they feel exactly the same. They actually feel like they're imposters and they're killing it and doing really well. So it affects everybody all along the line. And you shouldn't be worried about that, because ultimately, if you're an expert in something or you're knowledgeable, you've won awards and everything else, you've done that, you've achieved that. So you don't need to feel like you're not good enough. And you've got to get over it, because it'll be a real big barrier in your life. And it will certainly stop you from actually creating and selling your own online course, which we don't want. Because you've got all this knowledge in your head right now that I guarantee you could be put out into a course and marketed successfully, but you're never going to do it if you feel like you're not in a position or not good enough to be able to do it. And while I'm on the subject of that, I do want to also remind you as well that people love to learn off of different people. So while you might go online and you might see the number one person in your niche at the moment and think, how can I compete with that? Well, here's what can happen is there's some people who will gravitate towards one person, and there's some people who will gravitate towards another and prefer someone else's teaching style. So don't be afraid, and, step out there, get out your comfort zone, and then put yourself out there and see what happens. The ones that like you, the ones that, relate to you, they'll come naturally. And you won't have to worry about feeling like an imposter, because you'll have all these people come in and asking you for help and advice. You'll be giving them help and advice, and you'll be helping them along. And guess what? That's what, an expert in their niche does. So you'd already be doing it. But listen, if you want to find out more about this stuff, more about how you can go from nobody, if you feel that way, which you hopefully won't after this bit of a chat we've had, and learn how to create, market, and sell your own online course and build a near, not quite total, but near passive income after a bit of hard work, come join me. Just go to paidcourses.com and come and join me live every week virtually on a Thursday. And I'll be happy to tell you how I went from nothing to, trying things out and then ultimately building online courses and selling them successfully. Okay, that's pretty much it for today then, guys. Thank you ever so much for those of you that are joined live, which is quite a few of you. And I will speak to you all real soon. Have a fantastic day wherever you are.